This video is for Unit R069 and it's to help you when planning and pitching your proposal. So what exactly is a professional pitch? It's when you give a presentation to a certain audience. In business, pitches are often used to present new ideas or products, and the audience for these pitches are often investors or large retailers. One of the easiest and best examples to give is the TV show Dragon's Den, where you have a collection of business angels that all sit and listen to a professional pitch about a particular product or service. And then once they have watched the pitch, they are given an opportunity to answer questions and see whether they want to invest in the product or not. On the specification, there are a number of things that you need to consider when planning your professional pitch. They are the objectives, the audience, the venue, the types of media, the personal appearance of the person giving the pitch, the structure of the pitch, use of visual aids, and potential audience questions. Let's start with the objectives. So the objectives are what you actually want to achieve from your pitch. There's usually two main objectives, and they would be to inform the audience and to persuade the audience. Best example of this is if you are trying to pitch a new product to a large retailer like Selfridges, Amazon or Asda. Your objective would be to inform them of the actual product and what it does. You would also be trying to persuade them to actually stock your product in their stores by showing off the product, telling them what the unique selling point is and showing them all the positive features. The audience are the people who actually watch your pitch. Audience means people who consume something, so that's normally the viewers, readers, listeners, and people who actually use a product. In your case, it's going to be the people watching the actual pitch. So when you prepare your pitch, you need to know exactly who the audience is going to be, because that's going to have an influence on what you do. For example, if you do your pitch to one of your friends, then they're going to be a lot more supportive than someone who you are essentially asking to give you money. A business angel, like on Dragon's Den, they would want to see things like graphs, sales predictions, and financial breakdowns. They're also going to be a lot more tough as an audience when they're asking you questions. The venue is the actual location where you're going to do your pitch. So in the case of a professional pitch, you must make sure that that venue is a suitable size. If your venue is too small and you can't fit everybody in, then you're going to look a bit silly. And if the venue is too big, then you've basically going to have to stand at the front and project your voice across a massive area to try and get heard. The venue also needs to have the equipment that you need. It's no good turning up to do a pitch with a PowerPoint presentation and they've got no projector or TV screen. You also need to think about the layout, where you're going to stand and where your resources are going to be displayed. On the specification, when it says media or materials, it essentially means the different resources that you turn up with. So the media refers to any music, video or images that you might include. And the additional materials is usually referring to things like handouts and flyers that you can give out in physical form to the people in the audience. The materials need to be suitable for that audience and for the type of pitch that you're doing. For example, if you were pitching to a bank manager to ask for a loan, you wouldn't start playing rave music over your presentation. Personal appearance is referring to your actual clothing and hair and makeup and basically your actual appearance on the day of the pitch. This is quite important because a lot of the time the audience that you're presenting to will look at you and judge you based on your appearance. It will be their first impression that they get from you. If you look a little bit scruffy and not very well presented, then they're less likely to give you the money or give you the deal that you are looking for. Most of the time, it's best to wear very smart attire because to look smartly dressed and well presented will give a really good impression. Sometimes you could stand out from the crowd by wearing the products you're selling, or do something out of the ordinary and stand out, like Levi Roots on Dragon's Den, who basically carried a guitar in and sang his own theme tune, which made him stand out a little bit. I know that's not necessarily personal appearance, but despite what he did, he was still wearing a smart suit. The structure of the pitch is really important because you don't want to do things in the wrong order. You need to make sure that you start off with an introduction of who you are and your business name, and then have some sort of logical sequence, like talk about what you're trying to achieve, what the problem was, what your product is, who the people are that have worked on it, any research that you've done. You need to have a clear structure of exactly what you're going to include, and make sure that you finish with some sort of memorable point or a summary. When we talk about visual aids, it is essentially referring to the resources that you use for your pitch. Some people like to just stand there and talk verbally, but it makes it quite difficult for the audience to maintain attention and just keep staring at you and listening the whole time. A lot of the time, people want some sort of visual aid to go with it. In most cases, this is in the form of like a PowerPoint presentation that will have images, text, and videos and things in the slides. Other examples, you could just have video clips, you could have a prototype of the actual product to show them, which is very, very often the case in Dragon's Den. And you could also show examples of competitor products, because sometimes that makes it a little bit easier to get your point across. Finally, at the end of the pitch, you will usually be asked some questions. In the case of Dragon's Den, the TV show, once your pitch is finished, you will be put under quite heavy scrutiny. These people are business angels, which means they are good, well-established entrepreneurs that have made money and been successful. They will ask you challenging questions. The key is to anticipate what their questions might be so that you are well prepared. You don't want to be standing there at the end of the pitch, someone asks you a question and you're like, oh, I don't know, because it makes you look like you're not prepared. It makes you look like you're not a very good businessman or woman. So in this particular case, we are going to be pitching our products, and you might be asked particular questions that you might struggle to answer if you don't think about them in advance. When you watch Dragon's Den, you will see that they ask questions like, how many products have you sold so far, or what are your sales predictions? They'll ask about how much are you selling for and how did you come up with that price. They might ask what feedback have you got so far from customers, what research did you do, and things like, why should we choose this product over any others on the market? So the key is to anticipate what questions you might get and come up with planned responses.